out to death on the corners. Mistake this taser for his sidearm, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that more lives matter. It seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistake this taser for his sidearm, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that won awards for writing facts for World Wide Web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated. Here comes C1-7 and CIA and FBI agent, brethren, felons with what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No threats of nooses, I'm fighting for survival. Making Moors martyrs won't happen, calling us captain rival. Inquisitionists, governors, and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak with no care, blood dripping. They eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastness of state Muguri Balaksa. Stateless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, to start selling black orphans and half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing, killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them up, educate oneself and flip them. All of their titles on nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grip them in this third-dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention. Mental intrusion, universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoopties to the spaces. Ever since all creations, celestial foundations, ocean floor to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite.
I said, what now? Hold on. Let me just pause this. Say it one more time.
I said the best too much?
Nah. You good. You good, more.
More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter cause I sing it no sound off. It gets defective when projected through your mask off. Get my perspective on direct it to replay. All the moves that on replay till they wanna cast off. Bury them on to the next one. Enough of them are gunning down. Dudes them a cash cross. Can't believe I copy that. Can't believe I Taj Boss. Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cars. The afterlife visited the class wrong. Who they really wanna see with the crown on high and the garbs on free? I am free and in no business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. For the fight
Islam. Alright, it's 6:44, so we just gonna go on and get started. Since we got, got somebody in the house typing. Islam. Who we got? Islam. All right, brother Islam. Good deal. Glad you can make it with us. Make sure you send out the link, to your family and friends and all of those people as we go forward, because it's going to be a good class today, I believe. And we were trying to hold on just to make sure we got got some people in here. But as always, we do have our Ustream and YouTube family out here. So today, I'm just gonna mute you out right quick for a second, Brother Nasir, just to introduce everything. So we've got with us today Brother Nasir Bey with us, and he is a fellow brother out of Shaka Maxim territory, commonly known as Philadelphia or Philadelphus, Pennsylvania territory, if I'm not mistaken, brother. Islam. So he's gonna help me out today with class, and he's gonna first start out by opening up and saying his words. But I just wanted to give that brief introduction and kind of let the brother let you know a little bit about himself and his path and journey up until this point, and and then just kind of go from there. If you would, please, Brother Nasir, I yield the floor.
All right. Islam family. I hope everyone's having a prosperous day, week. Happy Holy Day.
Islam, happy Holy Day as well. Islam.
Of course, give all honor to the Prophet Nuhu Ali. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be. I don't know where y'all would be, but I wouldn't be nowhere good.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Today's class is, I believe it was titled, made reference to why Moors are not U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm. And as well as steps to take after nationalizing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
So that's what we're gonna cover in a grand scheme of things, but yeah.
Right. Exactly. First thing I wanted to get into was the actual definition of American.
Okay.
All right. And to show that the difference between the U.S. in America, because you understand that the United States of America is a political jurisdiction. It has nothing to do with the land.
Mm-hmm. And most folks try to bleed that together, don't they?
Right, exactly. using synonymously like it's the same thing, and it's not.
Yeah, with that connotative, those connotative linguistics and stuff.
Exactly. In the law, it means something totally different. Have you hanging out to dry, as you can see.
Clearly. So go and break it down for him, brother.
Okay. Right here we have the Webster's 1828 definition of American. All right. I have it nice. You can download it right on the Play Store.
Okay. If you got like Google. Okay. So you holding it up.
Go into the Play Store. You download the
Okay, I see it.
The actual.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull it widescreen on my end. For all y'all in the class, y'all should be able to pull it widescreen and see it. And just for the people who can't read this, Brother Nasir, go on and read it for them.
There you go. It says American. It says adjective pertaining to America. American, noun, a native of America. Originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. But now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. The name American must always exalt the pride of patriotism.
That's deep. Say that last part again.
So, the last part, it said, the name American must always exalt the pride of patriotism.
Not from just based on your portion of understanding, what is that telling you?
What's that telling me is that the quote unquote copper colored races of people, they might use the term race connotatively, of course. But the overall message, the definition that we want to get out of here is that the indigenous people found here,
Mm-hmm.
right? When the Europeans came, were Moors. What they say, copper-colored races.
Yeah. And I was looking for a penny to hold up.
I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any. There you go.
And this is
there you go.
Now this one is a 1981, but it's still, it's fairly, used and whatnot in comparison to, say, this 2016 penny, right? And if you take an older or like a used penny, you can use the test basically to find out whether or not you're copper colored, right? So, I'm a little bit, as they say, more fair or whatever, light skinned it, but let me try to get it for the camera, right? And you can see which is which, and clearly, I'm coming in there. Right? I think we got some technical difficulties on this end. Let me reset. But yeah, man, it's not really hard once you take it to the to the definition, textbook definition, and you understand who it is. Figure out, do a demonstration and figure out who they're talking about. Take a penny and see if you fit. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. It's a simple experiment. Think about it that way, and that way, you won't hurt anybody's feelings. But we gotta think, family. Like, we seriously have to think, because without that, we're gonna be behind. All right, so we got it caught back up. But I was just letting the family know, clearly, if I hold up, the penny, even though I'm supposed to be light skinned, I'm still falling in the mix, right? But let Pookie and them tell it. Oh, if we white, why we can't be black? If they white, why we can't be black? And it's like, it's not about what you see. With your two eyes, necessarily. It's about the legal status that's on that black and white, piece of paper. Right. That for time immemorial has been recognized as fact. You know what I mean? But I yield the floor back to you, brother. Oh, we got Brother Wasim in the building. Uh-oh. Islam. Thank you, family. Islam, welcome.
Islam.
Welcome.
I'm at the JOB, man.
Yeah, man. I see you.
Yeah. That's why I can't never get to y'all, man. It look like I don't even care, but I care a lot, man.
Hey,
Peace, more.
Peace.
How you doing?
Nasir.
Islam.
Islam, more. How you doing?
Islam.
What's today's topic, man?
Well, we're just catching up from last week with why Moors are not U.S. citizens, right? And then the steps to take after nationalization, right? And right now I was just breaking down, and one more time, family. Even though I'm light skinned it, right? Brother Nasir had read the definition of American, and I was showing, like, even with an old or a new penny, I'm still fitting in the mix.
Right.
You know what I mean? And these pennies are not, they're fairly not that old, but the older you get, the more you can tell and find it. If it's not green and rusted out, so to speak. But yeah, read it one more time for us, Brother Nasir, just to catch Brother Wasim up, just in case he's never heard it.
No, you already know. I know what's up. That's why we got Abraham Lincoln, right, on the copper penny. Plus, he looking the other way, right? So that should let you know who he is, right?
Ah, all right.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Islam. Thank you for that. I'm gonna mute you out.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it going.
I'm here. I'll be checking in.
All right.
I'll probably dash out periodically.
No worries.
All right.
Islam.
No.
So, Brother Nasir, I yield the floor.
All right, Islam. Okay, so now we know for a fact that the Americans are the copper-colored Aboriginal and the indigenous peoples of the land, or of the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Moors, us.
Islam.
So now we see that we're here and Europeans are here as well. So what's that right there? Diversity of citizenship. All right? Continuing on to show you more, as what the United States is and things of that nature. We'll go to the Articles of Confederation, the perpetual union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, and the Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. All right. Straight from the Library of Congress here. So you can get it there.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And I got
a nice facsimile. Indeed.
They gave you the different states right here.
Indeed.
All right.
Yeah, now this is exclusive for all y'all that's in the class. This is why you got to get linked up. Because he's showing it to you. You know what I mean? We going in. Now keep going, brother. Now I said now with those with doing that, what happened exactly?
All right. Now this will actually show you that the United States of America has nothing to do with the land. It's a political party. All right?
You say it's a political party?
It's a jurisdiction created. It's a body politic, an artificial corporation, all right? Created to interact with other nation states. All right? And once you look into history, you'll see the 13, original colonies and all that. They were actually corporation plantations, and that's what this is telling you as well.
You all said right? Corporation plantations? I'm just making sure I heard that right. You said they were corporation plantations?
Yes. They were the actual first plantations over here.
They were the first plantations, the quote-unquote states.
Yes. Yes, later on it became the states under the Constitution.
Huh. Now, if that's the case, how are they claiming to be government?
Oh man. That's why you need to go back into the history and Brother Taj, honors to the brother.
Islam.
He's doing the work. And he did not let the prophet die in vain at all. And he continued to work. All right. We know of the platform, the coup d'etat of 1861. We know of that. 10 years later, 1871, he touches on, of course, the District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871, or the Act of 1871, which developed or gave them an actual platform to disseminate, all right, their plans. It gave them the legal platform to do it. All right. Getting into the Articles of Association. The Articles of Confederation of 1643. Here at the preamble. All right. It says right here, Articles of Confederation, a perpetual union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. It says Article 1, the style of this confederacy. And when they say style, they mean the name. Shall be the United States of America. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point on, you see the original, the indigenous Americans are the Moors, and they established this in 1643, and we already been here before, way before 1643.
Yeah, definitely.
So of course we are not U.S. citizens.
Mm.
All right. This is one premise you can go off right there.
Yeah. Man. Now, for all those who just might be tuning in, Brother Nasir, has laid out some reference points, as Taj, typically says, that if you haven't heard of, you might want to go check out. If you're wondering, how this whole government thing works and how we got to this point in terms of, all of this foolishness that we see. But now, Brother Nasir, you said there was some other points you wanted to touch on, I believe, from that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you're going in. I don't want to break your whiz. I feel like you on a roll right now.
Yeah. Okay. So now we see the articles of 1643 that'll show and prove, and this stuff too. Don't ever forget the rules of evidence.
Mm.
These things can be ruled as evidence in your favor dealing with any type of issue that you having. Because as Taj said, law and history goes together.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know what happened in history to know why things are the way that they are now. You have to. If not, you're doomed to repeat the past, as they say.
Indeed.
All right?
Islam.
Now, we can continue this. We can continue this with the we can go so many different ways with this.
Mm-hmm.
We can speed it up with the
Now in the chat they said pardon themselves in the chat they said they were companies originally. I think that's why Brother Wasim, he said an act is not law. And he said Dred Scott case and Plessy v. Ferguson, which we were actually going to touch on that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then put them, and he said put them in your writs. You know what I mean? Yeah, and going to your point as far as the evidence, yeah, you can put it into your writs and use that, you know what I mean, as a form of evidence. And you can take a copy and attach that, right? And list it, attachment, 1BC, whatever, But however you're setting it up, but getting back to Brother Nasir's point, I don't want people to forget, what he said here when he said that, law and history, right, go hand in hand. And, oftentimes we get, I guess jaded or confused, so to speak, when that's brought up, and, we take for granted the fact that it is true. It's not something that you can argue against, right? Because when you're talking about law, you have to be able to follow a historical timeline, right? Because the way, law is set up, especially when you're talking about the quote-unquote English common law that you're dealing with, this colonial system that we're dealing with today, that is sanctioned by, of course, Moorish law that we know of, but as they say, is quote-unquote, comes down from the English or the brutish Moors, but that's a whole nother story. But we have to keep in mind there's connotation, there's denotation, right? There's transliteration from one language to the other, right? And then there's every individual's interpretation, okay? And as some say, there's your version, my version, and then somewhere in the middle there's the truth, right? But for the sake of the timeline, you have to be able to follow it based on the court's actions, based on the legislatures, right, or the executors, right, or other major historical events that may change the organization and structure of government, because wars can change government, right? And that's just, you know, another topic for another day. I don't want to digress too hard, but Brother Nasir, I yield the floor to you once again, brother. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
I just felt like I had to reiterate that, but I yield the floor. So you were saying, as far as the fact that these were the plantations. They came over here, you know, as the rejects, you know, the all-American rejects, literally, and started plantations, and then they turned these
vagabonds. These were the rapists. These were the murderers. These were the ones that were the less desirables in society. All right, that came over here.
Mm-hmm. And these are the people who created these plantations and started putting all the natives into human peonage.
Exactly.
Huh. Brother Wassil said, check the Gangs in New York movie. And if you haven't seen it, it is a very good, you know, theatrical representation of some very, you know, historical events. I think we're having a few technical difficulties, but we're gonna get it right over here. But yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Not pretty, you know, keen on who was in it. I don't want to pay anybody's bills with that one, but I will say it does give you some good clues, you know, some blues clues, so to speak. Oh wow, yeah. So it does give you some blues clues as to what's going on. We're gonna mute everybody else out who's just coming in with us. So now that Brother Nasir, you there?
Islam, bro.
Islam, all right. So
okay.
Coming off of the Gangs in New York and realizing that that's, you know, a good theatrical representation of you know, kind of what was going on at the time. And how they were, you know, kind of bogarting everything. What else were you looking at? What else did you find so far along this timeline that we're talking about?
Okay, now that was 1643 as far as the Articles of Confederation.
Mm-hmm.
What also links us back would be that letter to the Sultan.
Yep.
From George Washington. You have to have a copy of that?
I think I do, brother.
Okay, I see you there.
Yep, I think I've got it.
Yeah, where he makes reference to in our dominions.
Uh-huh. You still there with me?
Yep.
All right. Now, I'm sitting here, I'm looking for it. Now, right here at the beginning, well, I'll just read it and you can stop me where you want to. He says, "Great and magnanimous friend, since the date of the letter which the late Congress, by their president, addressed to your Imperial Majesty." All right? The United States of America have thought proper to change their government and institute a new one, agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. Right? And notice he said the late Congress.
There you go.
You know, typically when they talk about an individual being late, they're not talking about them being late to a party. You know what I mean? They're talking about something being dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And he said by their president. So whatever president was under that Congress, that, you know, those powers are dead as well.
Right.
And these were the people or the body politic at the time that were addressing the Imperial Majesty of you know. And then he says the United States of America have thought proper, you know, so on and so forth. But should I continue? I just thought I had to, you know.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the time necessarily employed in the arduous task and the disarrangements occasioned by so great though peaceable a revolution, will apologize and account for your majesties not having received those regularly advised marks of attention, right, from the United States, which the friendship and magnanimity of your conduct toward them afforded reason to expect, right?
Right.
The United States having unanimously appointed me to supreme executive authority in this nation, right? So he was appointed, right?
Let's go. Uh-huh.
And it says, Your Majesty's letter of August 17, 1788, which by reason of the dissolution of the late government, they said it again, the late government, right, remained unanswered. So they're blaming it on the fact that the government was dead. And it says, has been delivered to me, so they finally got the letter.
Acquiescence.
Yeah, you said acquiescence, yeah, acquiescence. Yeah. Default and acquiescence. I have also received the letters which your Imperial Majesty has been so kind as to write in favor of the United States to the Bashars of Tunis and Tripoli. And I present to you the sincere acknowledgments and thanks for the United States for this important mark of your friendship for them. Right? And then he further goes on to say, we greatly regret the hostile disposition of those regencies toward this nation who have never injured them is not to be removed on terms of our power to comply with, period. And then he says, within our territories, there are no mines whether of gold or silver. And this young nation, just recovering from the waste and dissolution of long war, have not as yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture and commerce. But our soil is bountiful and our people industrious. Comma, and we have reason to flatter ourselves that we shall gradually become useful to our friends. The encouragement which your Majesty has been pleased generously, and I think this is what you were talking about, Brother Nasir. It says, to give to our commerce with your dominions, comma,
Yep.
the punctuality with which you have caused the treaty with us to be observed. I wonder which treaty they talking about. And the just and generous measures taken in the case of Captain Proctor make a deep impression of the United States and confirm their respect for and attachment to your Imperial Majesty. All right, and it says, it gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity of assuring your Majesty that while I remain at the head of this nation, comma, I shall not cease to promote every measure that may conduce to the friendship and harmony which so happily subsists between your empire and them, and shall esteem myself happy in every occasion of convincing your Majesty of the high sense which, in common with the whole nation, I entertain the magnanimity, wisdom, and benevolence of your Majesty. May the Almighty bless your Imperial Majesty of since your Imperial Majesty, comma, our great and magnanimous friend, and with his constant guidance and protection, George Washington.
And protection.
Guidance, his constant guidance and protection. I'm imagining they're talking about the Imperial Majesty or the Sultan,
right,
of that time.
Right.
And just to reiterate this part about to give our commerce with your dominions. So as this letter is explaining, and like you were saying before, I could use the fact that George Washington is admitting here that the entire U.S. or United States of America's, he says the United States in this letter, right? Their whole ability to do commerce is based within the Moorish dominions or estate. that the Sultan, through the guise of the treaty and everything that we've taught, if you've been following the previous classes, the Sultan gave them permission through the treaty, right? And then there were other subsequent treaties with Tunis and Tripoli that, there was some disputes about at, up until this point after they were already laid down, but the Sultan was able to smooth those out, if I'm correct, Nasir. Is that right?
Right. Islam. And understand as well that when you see the term imperial, we have it like in the beginning. It has imperial majesty.
Yeah, and at the end.
That term imperial. That means there's an order in place.
What kind?
You understand? It means there's a governing body in place.
To
talk to these people on behalf of the nation. All right. So there was an order there. But some way it came, it fell apart some way, somehow. That's why he said things went unanswered. That acquiescence I was making reference to.
Indeed.
When they asked about it, they were like, what's going on? All right. So that's something different, though, a little bit.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Whole other topic. But to go to answer why Moors are not U.S. citizens, in the letter it clearly said that the Europeans were there on behalf and at the behest, and under the guise and permission of the Moors, based under their government that was already here, in place, in order, before they even came into the picture or were even thought of, right? So, when the late government, as far as what happened with the Europeans, is going on because of the war, that doesn't have anything to do with what's going on with the Moors, necessarily. Our issues were something completely different from the Europeans. But as we can, as time went on, and we're doing more commerce, we're doing more trade, our fates are getting more and more intertwined, right? Because the longer they're here, the deeper they're going into the land. Because at one point he was saying that their territories had no mines or of gold or silver, right? And as we were talking about before, when they first signed the treaty, they were given permission to do commerce, right, at the docks, right, at the edge of the at the edge of the land to do trade, and because we're talking about seafaring and everything. Of course, the first place and last place you need to be is where the boats are coming in. You really don't have any business to go further than that. But, as time goes on, as the quote-unquote needs of the people grow, certain concessions were made. And because the Sultan and the Europeans were trying to have a treaty of peace, an amnesty in commerce, we were trying to make everything work out. Right? So, the plot thickens, as they say. Right? But they were sure that they could work it off, so to speak. Right? But we have to also keep in mind that there was this ugly, though, it's truthful, and we could debate for another day where it came from, but this air of slavery, you know what I mean? And this was going on in the background, right? But we'll clear that up at another date. But I yield the floor. Brother Nasir, now where from here did you want to go as far as this letter here? Because we could, like I said, we could go a lot of places with this, Yeah.
The attachment, it says here, the encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce and your dominions, all right? The punctuality with which we have caused the treaty with us to be observed, and the generous measures taken in the case of Captain Proctor make a deep impression on the United States and confirm their respect for the attachment to your imperial majesty. all right, and the attachment to your Imperial Majesty. Now, what's their attachment to the Moorish Empire? What's their attachment to the Moorish Empire? All right.
Mm-hmm.
After when they came over here,
mm-hmm.
all right. I don't think I have it with me. When they came over here, all right.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting treated horribly. They were getting no due process. If the crown felt as though that treason against the crown was warranted, they would send soldiers to the people's homes and were just kicking in their doors and taking them back to England.
Mm.
You know, and being held for trial. You know, without no notice, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Tax Act. You know, taxation without representation and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That's when they convened. They got together
mm-hmm.
and they wrote a letter to the King of Great Britain about.
Uh-oh. Think we got a little technical difficulty. Now, Brother Nasir is going in. Of course, they're going to do what they do. We're going to keep it rolling. Now, keep in mind, follow where we're going now. This is a very important timeline here. All right, let's see if we got it. All right. You there?
There you go. Yeah, so by the injustices that were being done to them,
mm-hmm.
and they requested it and they sent it over there, to England. And obviously, the crown wasn't trying to hear it. They wasn't trying to hear it
at all.
They end up declaring, their freedom, quote unquote, with that Declaration of Independence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they say, hey, we don't want to be under your tutelage anymore. You guys are too harsh. We'll declare our allegiance to the Moors of the Moroccan Empire over here. And we'll go, create a treaty with them. The Peace and Friendship Treaty of 1787, where they can, we recognize them as a nation of people.
Yeah.
Who actually had the liberty and rights, all right, by birth.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Who have liberties and rights, and they can actually walk the land and do what they want to do without being enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So once they had that Declaration of Independence, all right, and we brought these deists into government, and the Republic was formed for them. All right? At Article 4, Section 4 of our Constitution.
For them to operate and do government and do business.
To operate their own Republican form of government.
All right.
Under our tutelage, though.
All right.
Under that, right.
Because they're attached.
That imperial, all right? That imperial, what they call them? Imperial majesty.
Yep. Several times. In your majesty, your imperial majesty, your imperial. Let me see if I can count how many times right quick. 1, 2. But yeah, man.
So they declared, themselves to be, quote unquote Americans.
Uh-huh.
All right, and you can also look into the Naturalization Act of 1790 as well, where they took on the term free white persons. And if you go to the free white person, you'll see they're talking about Morocco.
Uh-huh.
Moroccans. That'll connect you right here, right back to America. Stop trying to go everywhere else. You're trying to look up to see who you are. You ain't no African American. You can't be Negro. You can't be colored.
So they running everywhere else, but you already home, Dorothy.
You're already home. They say check out the King Alfred plan. They said they're bound here by heritage.
Yeah, bound to the continent by heritage. They know this. That's why they can't do certain things.
Exactly.
You know.
But this is their attachment to us. When that Constitution was ratified in 1789. 1791.
Mm-hmm. That confirmed their attachment.
It confirmed it.
When they ratified it.
It confirmed it at Article 6 and secured everything prior to at Article 6 as well.
Mm-hmm. So that's just a reconfirmation of the reconfirmation, basically. They had to double down at that point.
Exactly.
All right.
And then later on in years that's when the subversion came.
Yeah.
And they started popping up with this democracy thing.
Yeah. They started pumping that up real bad. Yeah.
Their de facto situation. Their de facto corporation, because even though we set that republic up for them, that's a corporation. All right? Understand that these corporations are fictions. Yes, they are. The Moors Science Temple is a corporation. You understand? It's a body politic. All right? Supposed to be a body politic operating on behalf of the people.
Yep.
That's what it's supposed to be,
Yeah, stated. That's what the prophet said.
Man, that's what he said.
Said it was government. Take your place amongst the affairs of men.
Yep.
But you also got to think. You got to think to save yourself too.
Right. So when we see these corporations, don't ever, approach a situation really too hostile, because that's how the world is ran. Right? Like China, Japan, Brazil, Argentina, wherever you want, those are corporations. All right? But however, they're United States as well. They're United States of people. And we deal with, states of people as different groups of people that form themselves body politics to interact with other nation states on a global level, not just a domestic level.
All right.
They're needed and warranted. But go ahead, though. I yield the floor, bro. You want to read something?
Yeah, you mentioned the word free white persons. It's one of my favorite definitions, of course, because it's just so evident. And there were some comments that we were getting on the YouTube from some people, and I thought, rather than read whatever limited version they were going off of, since they couldn't find the 4th edition or the 3rd edition, for free online, which is out there, and as well as on the Moors directory, if you go to the Dirty Moors page and you click the dictionary, the green dictionary there, it'll download right up there for you if you've got enough space on your electronic device. But I'm gonna read this kind of in full, minus the case law, just so we can get a full understanding and get that on the record, because it helps ring true every time, and it says thus, and it's on page, again, this is Black's Law 4th edition, for all those who don't know, page 792. Free white persons, quote unquote free white persons, referred to in Nationalization Act as amended by Act July 14th, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it when first used in 1 Statute 103, Section 3, meaning all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white, comma, and their descendants, comma, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated, period, right? Now, as they say, the etymon of the word below it here says it includes all European Jews more or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent, period. It includes, now, these are the people that it's intermixed with, right? It includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basque and Albanians, period. And then in another sentence, it includes the mixed Latin, comma, Celtic-Iberian, comma, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. So directly right there tells you Moors from Spain and Portugal, right? Now, this book by Richard Fletcher, I ran up on, Get that, yeah, for the camera. I just read up on it, and now the name of this is Moorish Spain, Richard Fletcher, and this is author of The Quest for El Cid, right? And maybe now right here on the inner cover, right? Now this is what made me it just jumped out at me. It says, in the year 711, a small Berber army under Arab leadership crossed the Straits of Gibraltar from Morocco, and in the following year defeated the army of Spain, slaying its king. Within a matter of a few years only, the whole of the Iberian Peninsula was theirs, and the course of Western civilization was transformed. Right? And then it goes on to say, for nearly 1,000 years, the Islamic presence they planted in Spain survived, at times flourishing, at others dwindling into warring, fratricidal fiefdoms. Right? Notice language. Warring, fratricidal fiefdoms. All right? Keep that in mind. That might be a topic in a future class. But anyway, but the culture and science they brought with them, including long buried knowledge from Greece, forgotten in Europe's dark ages, was to have an even more enduring impact. All right, and it just goes on to kind of sell the book, but you get the idea. But to finish this definition here, and I had to bring that up just to let you guys know, because I got different stuff and people hand me different things and I forget what I have, but a lot of good books out there. You know what I mean? If you just look for them, love your local bookstore, but your local used bookstore. Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tatar inhabitants of South Russia. Right? Then it says, period, it does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, and Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia. Right? And it goes on to talk about excluding the Syrians and the Filipinos and the Hindus and everything, but that again is to distinguish who was from that area of Europe, North Africa, right, and the Americas. Okay, distinctly for a reason, because who was in commerce, who was in trade, the Europeans and the Sultan of Morocco. Right? And from what we're talking about from the letter of George Washington, they were directly, their government, being the quote-unquote United States government and all of its, United States, were attached to His Imperial Majesty. Okay? Clearly. So, I just had to get Free White Persons on the record. Was anything you wanted me to jump on right quick, Brother Nasir? Before we move forward?
Oh, no, that was fine, bro.
All right, I yield the floor.
That was fine.
I yield the floor.
That was fine. Okay. So, that will take us up to that attachment will take us up to the Declaration of Independence, which leads to our Constitution.
Okay.
National Constitution. All right, the Republican Constitution. Which again, all officers, no matter who you are, if you're saying that you a trash collector for this type of whoever, you got to take an oath on that Constitution. You got to.
From the president down to the trash collector, you say.
You understand? You got to. So, again, we'll go again. Another reference.
Now that wouldn't happen to be Article 6, would it?
There you go.
Okay, just making sure. I'm just guessing.
Yes, sir. There you go. Good guess.
Yeah, thank you.
That'll take us as well to.
Hold on, we're gonna reset. We're gonna reset. We're getting some messages over here. Let's reset right quick before you get it into it. Yeah, man. So, you know, we just went from the colonial period, worked all the way up to, you know, the establishment, and now we're at the Constitution, Islam. So we got everything reset. So we're up to the Constitution, and so now where we want to possibly go from here, Brother Nasir? Because we touched on a lot of things, but you know, to prove that we're not U.S. citizens, you know what I mean, and we don't necessarily have to claim U.S. citizenship to get any favor with the Europeans per se. Where would we go from here after understanding what free white persons means and the fact that that is a status, and you know that the Europeans connotatively have been able to apply to themselves because we were dumbed down through slavery and our ignorance and just, you know, totally being separated from our government. Uh-oh. Let's try it again. Man, y'all on point today, boy. I tell you what. I tell you what, buddy. I tell you what. Yes, sir, Bob. Y'all are working hard today, buddy. We working harder. So, you know, we're going to keep it moving. Now, with that, please, you know, family, understand that as things go forward, they will, you know, be accelerating some operations and false flags, so to speak. So you have to be, you know, aware and on your P's and Q's. And, you know, just know your technology from the rooter to the tutor, basically. Islam. So we got everything straight. You there, brother?
Oh yeah, you see me?
I got you now. Okay. Now from there, as far as understanding free white persons, where might one need to go to further, you know, develop their understanding if they were trying to get their Teflon skates on?
Oh, your Teflon skates?
Yeah.
Hey man, you know the greatest teacher, man. Mother's the greatest teacher, man. R.V. Bay, all you know, on time.
Yeah. And how long would you say one just starting out would might, you know, want to dibble and dabble on R.V. Bay just for you know, starters?
Oh well, just for starters, man.
Would you say like maybe a year is good enough?
About that, because it's going to take time. All right, because you got to look at the brain as a computer. It's going to take time to delete all of your junk files. Mm-hmm. And the programming for that is going to have to be a whole nother program.
Okay.
Right? So it's going to take time. So, suffice a year, yeah.
A year serious study should get you up to speed with this. So, I think somebody's having some issues in the chat. I'm gonna reset one more time, and we're gonna try to move forward. All right. All right. So, yeah, we don't want to leave anybody behind. So we want to try to make sure we got everybody with us. All right. So, Brother Nasir, so from there, could you please give us a few more reference points, and then I wanted to get into this this expatriation documentation, and then some of my notes, because it is 7:40, and we're gonna be coming up on the 8 o'clock hour there, and then we'll have about 30 minutes for Q&A, and then any closing remarks after that.
Right. Just another reference point. You can go into that Article 11 of the Treaty of Tripoli.
Yeah. And we talked about that in some previous classes. Now, yeah, give us your portion of understanding on that, good brother.
All right. Now, with But that Treaty of Tripoli, you know, that really explains to you right there. It says here, Article 11, as the government of the United States of America, all right, the attachment. Notice it didn't say United States.
Yeah,
America. It didn't use that the actual style of their confederacy, and not just the metaphor, United States.
Yeah.
All right. Is not in any sense founded on Christian religion, on the Christian religion, and it has itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, and tranquility of Muslim men.
Talking about Moors.
And as the said states never have entered into any war or act of hostility against any Mohammedan nation, it is declared by the parties that no pretext arising from religious opinion shall ever produce an interruption of the harmony existing between the two countries. All right? So Muslim men, Muslim men, all right, Mohammedan, they're talking about Moors. It don't matter if you want to go back to, all right, okay. Excuse me. It don't matter if you want to go back to the medieval times where they called you other things besides Moors.
Yeah.
Or the ancient or the Roman times where they called you, where the Punic War times and things of that nature, where they called you everything besides Moors.
Yeah. For real.
We're talking about you, the indigenous people of the world. All right?
Indeed.
That's who they talking about.
Indeed. Islam. Now,
Islam, bro. You can go ahead.
All right. Now, from there, I wanted to, cause that, man, you dropped it on them, brother. Now, from there, we definitely wanted to, or at least I definitely wanted to touch on this citizenship of the United States expatriation information. And before that, it has the definition of 3 words: identity, improper persona, and status. Right? I wanted to get these on the record before I go into this, just so that everybody can get it in there, get the concepts together. Right? So, identity. In the law of evidence, right? There it goes again, talking about the law of evidence. Identity is sameness. The fact that a subject, a person, or a thing before the court is the same as it, he, she, or it is represented to be, claimed to be, comma, or charged to be. Right? And so that's identity, right? Then it says improper persona is a Moorish Latin law term that means, quote, in one's own proper person. It is a rule in pleading that pleas to the jurisdiction of the court must be pled, quote, in proper persona, because if pleaded by an attorney, they admit the jurisdiction, comma, as an attorney is an officer of the court, and he is presumed to plead after having obtained leave, right, comma, which admits the jurisdiction. And obtaining leave could be in the form of you signing a waiver, for power of attorney or, anything of that sort. Then it goes on to say status is, quote, the standing, the state, or the condition of a person. Right? And realize person could be talking about a living flesh and blood person at law, or could, at law be talking about a corporate person, or body politic, right? So the status of that body politic, the status of that individual person, you know what I mean? The standing, the state or condition, right? These are the things that make up the status or that define the status. It is the legal relation, further going on. It is the legal relation of the individual to the rest of the community, period, status involves the rights, the duties, the capacities, and the incapacities, which determine a person to a given class, right? So these are the parameters here. It is a legal, personal relationship, not temporary in its nature, nor terminable at the mere will of the parties, with which third persons and the state are concerned, period. Right? So you can't just sign your rights away. You can't sign your status away. You know what I mean? You can limit it, you can reserve it, or you can assign them as trustees, you know, to operate for you and everything, but you still remain a Moor. You still remain an heir, you know, to the estate in some way, shape, or form. But because of the fact that you are an heir, what you say is what it is. And, you know, life is what you make it, so to speak. All right? But it goes on to say, under status, it says, it also means, quote, estate, because it signifies the condition or the circumstances in which one stands with regard to his property. Estate is the interest which anyone has in lands, right, or in any other subject or property. All right. Now, I say all that, you know, to get that on the record, but to kind of set the stage so that you understand the importance of identity, the connection of your identity, and, you know, making sure that your identity goes, or that your understanding of identity goes from a Negro, black, colored mindset, right, to a improper persona mindset, and one that is governed with an understanding of what, you know, that improper persona mindset means in terms of your legal status, right? Because if you're operating in improper persona, then your status is totally different than when you were a quote-unquote Negro, right? Because if you're operating in improper persona, you're operating as a Moor. And if you're operating as a Moor, then, you know, you're at the least similar to the English bailiff of 100, and, you know, you have the right as an ill or a bay to either, you know, make law and or enforce law, you know. But I say all that to say, getting into this expatriation information, Chapter 5, temporary provisions, coming from the Charge d'Affaires, Mr. Phillip, sent to Mr. Root, Secretary of State, August 3rd, 1906, American Legation at Tangier, right, August 3rd, 1906. And he says, in quote, "Sir, there are strictly speaking no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic Code, comma, no part of which treats the subject of citizenship." Now on page 460, right? Now I don't want to, you know, just skip over that, but I was emphasizing certain language for you know, for later, you know, lessons. Just keep it in mind. There are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moorish Empire, comma, by means of which, now this is on page 460, so there are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moorish Empire by means of which citizenship in this country is defined. But, as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions, that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report upon such lines. I will therefore confine these remarks to general conditions existing, which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. All right? 1. So this is the information that he did provide in the midst of all that he's saying that he knows about, but he's not going to tell, because that's not what they necessarily asked for, right? And as we go into it, we can, you know, make an educated guess, right? Not an assumption or presumption, but try to make an educated guess as to why they didn't talk about it in these congressional records in this particular letter, right? That ended up in the congressional records. Islam. So, one, citizenship in Morocco may, right, be said to be governed, and realize typically when they say may, that's usually a must, right? Or it's an automatic, it shall, right? Citizenship, and typically pending other, conditions, but unless there's fraud, right, duress, coercion, just basic review. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with, alright, you still there? Still there, Brother Nasir? Alright, so citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are ipso jure as Moorish subjects. Right? Number two, so second and three, Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized in, or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. Right? Notice they said by becoming naturalized in, right? Then they said or protected by, and they qualified, another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire, right? And I think in the chat, they said accepting benefits, right? Brother Nasir said. And then it goes on to say here, it was established by the Convention of Madrid, concluded July 3rd, 1880, as follows, right? And this convention kind of changes a little bit the need for some of these, some of the language, right? And you'll see how it changes when they get to 4 and 5, right? But keep in mind what was stated. Don't ever forget what was originally stated, all right? Because we're talking about a timeline here. So July 3rd, 1880, so the day before the 4th, as follows: any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country, and who shall return to Morocco, shall, after having remained for a length of time equal to that shall have been regularly necessary for him to obtain such naturalization, continue between entire submission to the laws of the empire and the obligation to quit Morocco, unless it shall be proved that his naturalization in a foreign country was attained with the consent of the government of Morocco. Right? And this is kind of where the whole concept of dual citizenship comes from in modern perspective. Right? So it goes on to say, foreign naturalization heretofore acquired by subjects of Morocco acquiring according to the rules established by the laws of each country shall be continued to them as regards all its effects without any restriction. Right? And that's the conclusion from the Convention of Madrid, right? And then it says, the above ruling has never yet been acted upon. Right? So they stated this in the convention, but then they never really acted upon it. So what does that tell you to the, in terms of the ambiguity that they're trying to give? And Brother Nasir, do you have something? I yield the floor.
Yeah, Islam. Understand what the Prophet did. He knew all this already. You understand? So understand what he did. He created the legal process. All right? That wasn't in existence.
With through the temples.
Yes. All right? The Moorish Divine and National Movement, that's what it was about. That's what it continues to be about.
To bring people back into the constitutional fold of government.
Government, yes.
Make us better citizens.
Yes.
Because our citizenship, based on this, would have been in limbo, all of this confusion.
There you go. And That's what he was ordained to do.
Uh-huh.
It's all in the start.
Say that one more time. It was breaking up.
I said, yeah, that's what he was ordained to do. That's what the great Allah sent him back here to do. With the rest of us.
Yeah.
Anyone who hears the shepherd's voice is going to come. You're going to hear him. You understand?
It's going to resonate with you.
Exactly. And we're in the time period now to where as though we're waking up, all right? And we're waking up fast, all right? But we need to wake up and be in order, because you're still giving these Europeans more time to rip and run around and still keep killing us.
Yeah.
And pillage the land.
Yep.
You see, they keep burning so much land. All these forest fires.
Yeah.
Come on, they burning the land.
They burning the natural resources.
You understand? Because they know what time it is.
Yep, and with the pipeline and everything else, and part himself, was that it? I didn't mean to cut your whiz.
No, they just know the airs are back.
Yeah.
That cellular memory's back. All right? This is what they didn't want. That's why they have so many chemicals, you know, so many drugs, so many alcohol stores in our corners, in our, you know.
In our communities,
to keep that cellular memory down. To where we don't use our brains. Because, you know, once we start using it, it's over for them.
Islam.
The jig is up. I yield the floor, bro. I apologize.
Islam. Nah, you on fire, bro. You on fire. Man on fire. All right. Islam. Now, everything the Moor just said, you know, everything the Moor just said and then some. We cannot reiterate it enough. The prophet came, you know, to make us better citizens, right? And because without that perfected means of linking ourselves back to that constitutional fold of government, we will forever be known as Negroes, blacks, coloreds, you know, and reduced to the level of slavery and human peonage, right, that we see today amongst so many of our people, right? But there would be no, you know, great sellouts if there wasn't for the prophet, because there'll be no need in even paying people off, because there would be nobody who knew the truth to be able to free themselves, right? So then because there's nobody to free themselves, there's no need for an overseer, because the cattle are just going to roam, you know, they're just going to roam the field. They're never going to go off the reservation, right? But if you get a couple of smart Negroes to figure out that they're Moors and not really Negroes, then you got a problem. Because then they mess around and they might start thinking about how to get up off that plantation. You know, they might start, you know, that cellular memory might kick in and they might remember, oh, I think that's the North Star. I think, you know, if we walk, you know, maybe a couple of days this way and, you know, a couple of days to the west, we might hit that good old, you know, that River Jordan they talk about. You know, we might be able to cross on over, as they say. And then they start singing hymns and all of that, right? But again, thinking, using their brain to save themselves. Harriet Tubman, she was a babe. Right? As quiet as it's kept. She was a master Moorish navigator. How do you think she was able to navigate in the dark, all right, at night, for long distances and long journeys, without a knowledge, right, of the sun, moon, and stars, right? At least a cursory knowledge. It all couldn't have been, you know, candlelights in the window, because anybody had a candlelight. You know what I mean? That's how you had light, okay? But that's, you know, I digress yet again. But I say all that to suffice to say that later on, if you ever take a look at this, because we're coming up on the 8 o'clock hour, it goes on to say, and I'll just read it in short. The above ruling has never yet been acted upon, And should this at any time, and this is coming from page 460 again, should this at any time be contemplated seriously, comma, a large number of naturalized people, right, comma, American and other, and we already gave the definition of what the Americans are, and others, comma, residing in Morocco, comma, would be affected thereby, period. All right? So because of that, 4 and 5 comes about, and they say residence in foreign parts does not affect the nationality of Moorish subjects, comma, and the Moorish government has no means of protecting its subjects permanently residing in other countries, comma, with the exception of a so-called Moorish consul at Gibraltar and a Moorish agent at Cairo, Egypt. I am, and it says Hoffman Phillip, ETC. But opening the floor back up for you, brother Nasir, would that not lead right into what we've talked about in previous classes with the AA 222141, and when they start talking about the ministers and consuls?
Oh, yes. Yes, all day. It does lead right to there.
Okay. I thought that might have something to do with it. So based on that, what will be your portion of understanding, knowing what the prophet gave us and brought us, and what CMB did based on that AA 222141?
Oh yeah, you gotta give honors to brother CMB as well.
Islam to him.
He kept the prophet going. He kept the prophet's message going as well.
Indeed.
And going to that department and recording who we are with the people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and recording our zodiac constitution in our status, in the quote unquote exemption status from taxes, which is really non-obligatory.
Exactly, because we're not really obligated to begin with.
Right. Pay taxes on your own land.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's what they have done to us as well, as far as that tax, by not calling it a tax.
Mm.
Yeah, give me. Yeah.
And for those who understand economics, inflation is the invisible tax on the people and their labor.
Right.
Their goods and labor.
Right.
So they talking about all this financial crisis and the Brexit and the euro and all of that. You got to keep these things in mind. They've totally separated themselves, through subversion from the de jure government and from the economic basis of the de jure government being, lawful gold and silver. Long time ago. But that's, another argument for another day.
Yes, but that Title 22 is definitely powerful because we as a people,
mm-hmm.
right? We're in the beginning stages of really laying the foundation, all right? Laying the foundation of something for people to build on for posterity,
mm-hmm.
all right? But we got to understand civics and we have to understand government. Because if we understood this, we wouldn't have all these little posses of Moors going around doing things.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Indeed.
Because there'd be a structure in place already for the nation. Not just for y'all little set over there, but for the nation. There'd be a way to operate and to handle things in a civil and organized manner, so you wouldn't have to go through leaps, hurdles, and bounds and things of this nature that we even going through. Because a lot of resistance that we get as Moors, being individuals going up against these corporations, these foreign corporations, you dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just because it's just that. It's just an individual.
Mm-hmm. Like an organization.
Right. When a government structure is actually needed. Because that's how nations operate with other nations.
Mm.
All right? Because you can run around talking about you're a Moor all day. They'll be like, all right, well, let me talk to your secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk to the prime minister, actually, because, we're dealing with a diversity of citizenship, like you just said. So let me talk to your prime minister.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's like we're going around, you know, and again, love Taj, appreciate Taj. You understand what I'm saying?
For real.
Because he's going around doing what he's supposed to do, dropping the seeds.
Islam.
Right? But the people have to pick the ball up and do what they're supposed to do, which is study.
Islam.
Know about the organizational skills that's going to be needed for this. All right? And we saw, you know, throughout history how we fell. We started fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
We started fighting each other over nothing. Egos.
Man.
Because everybody want to be sultan of this over here and then sultan of this over there and this is our territory. Listen, man, we have to get structured again. All right? Because we're in dire need of it. Dire. Because if not, it's over. Your family, y'all going to perish one way or another. All right? But getting back to Title 22, this is the importance of Title 22. It acknowledges, yeah, y'all need structure. It acknowledges the structure that's needed. And it shows the structure that's needed.
Indeed. Uh-oh. Then we got a little technical difficulty. 1 second. Y'all just hold tight. Thank you, YouTube fam, for rocking with us. It's 8:07. We're going to start winding it down in a minute here. All right, we back.
Yeah, and it's about being sincere about it.
For real, yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's going to actually raise the vibrational level to what it needs to be. So we can be productive and do things.
Islam.
And it's an over move and all of that.
Say it again.
I said, yeah, and it's not, you know, type of get over move. You try to get over on people and all this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's the importance of Title 22 because it establishes some of the most important parameters that's needed for the reestablishment of, you know, a political structure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's very important. Very important. Again, it's not made for everybody. You know, it's not made for everybody. However, everyone benefits from it though.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, everyone benefits from it.
Whether they want to or not, when they want to admit it or not.
Right.
Now, just to further prove, I just wanted to, you know, kind of verbally highlight and get your thoughts on some things. Now, when we talked about the fact that we as Moors are not U.S. citizens, and we look at that 13th Amendment, right, and that Dred Scott decision, realizing that the slaves were not truly freed in the sense that they, you know, were totally free and they were, you know, had the rights and you know, respect that everybody else expected them to have, but they were, you know, free to leave the plantation, so to speak. But they ended up in this sharecropping situation, and this Jim Crow-ism and all of that good stuff. And then you had the understanding of the Dred Scott decision that was still in place. And then you have, of course, the civil rights cases, and I believe around 1876, right? And that's when, according to my notes here, and that's right around when they pretty much said, yeah, you're still Negroes, you know what I mean? Your quote-unquote civil rights are still privileges. And then it wasn't until 1956, you know, quote-unquote, the modern civil rights era, around that time when they said, all right, you've got the privileges, but, you know, they're privileges. They're, you know, quote-unquote civil rights, and this is what they're going to be based off of and everything else. But then that's all, you know, interladen and I guess muddying up the fact that what we just showed and proved that we as Moors, that has nothing to do with us. But if you are, you know, of a lesser intellect, or if you may have fallen away from your national character or understanding of that, you may have been classified into this, and your family just may have been stuck at that point, you know, from that point on. right? Because like in previous classes and as we've built in the past, when you look at free woman of color under Black's Law Dictionary, it clearly tells you, in there about how quote unquote Negro women were classified as free women of color, and then also quote unquote Indians or Native Americans were classified as free women of color, right? So when you look at that and you keep that in perspective, you realize that right there, they're muddying the water by denationalizing two groups of people under one brand known as, free woman of color, right? And then when we consider the numerous quote-unquote natives and tribes of people that were already here, that's a very broad brush to be painting, right? And when we understand the intricacies of the Jim Crow as well as the slave era, quote-unquote Negroes who were slaves were not allowed to live amongst quote-unquote Native Americans. And quote-unquote free Negroes were not allowed to live amongst quote-unquote Native Americans or Indians, right? Why? Because they could not tell them apart. Okay? If you can't tell a people apart, clearly there's some simulation, there's some similarity there. Or there's something visually, probably a certain copper complexion, going back to what we were talking about earlier in the class. If you were on YouTube and you just skip forward to see what we were talking about at the end, if you understand that there was a certain copper complexion that was very hard to distinguish visually, all right, to the point that they had to mandate and put it on paper that these people could not dwell amongst each other because it was too hard for them to tell them apart. All right, there has to be some consanguine, some bloodline relationship amongst these people that they're trying to bury. All right, that's the the only logical conclusion, based on today's set of facts, that we've covered today, that I could come to, you know what I mean, to help explain and answer the question as to why Moors are not U.S. citizens, right? Now, it's 8:13. We got about, 15 minutes left. I wanted to open up the floor and kind of close up with some Q&A with Brother Nasir here as to his portion of understanding as, steps to take after nationalizing, right? So if I just got my paperwork sealed, and I got my copies back, and I've already sent it out, I've already put everybody else on notice who need to be put on notice, like what are some things, or, what does that process look like for putting people on notice? If I'm doing it by myself, what does that look like? And what are some steps that I can do after that to kind of, better express myself, or what are some areas of study that I might want to look into to, I don't know, I guess be in the best position to take my place amongst the affairs of men, because you said earlier that we're at the cusp, so to speak, what have you, of a renewal or a beginning of sorts of the reestablishment of some things that up until now, I don't think the world, much less us here in Northwest of Mexham, have seen in the manner or character that we have imagined. If I think you might still be these things might be muted on your end.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, what just your portion of understanding based on what you know about nationality and birthright. If I just got nationalized, or if I just decided I was gonna nationalize, what will be some steps I would need to take to kind of solidify my decision and move forward in life, in a smooth transition, so to speak.
Man, well, one thing about this, understand when you understand the history.
Okay.
The history of the Muslims and Christians. That's what you got to really get.
And the 100 Years Wars and
all of that. All right. So, once you understand the history and you you'll look at the climate now.
Yeah.
How things are internationally, nationally, domestically. And really understand, understand, that when you take on this title, all right, which were really, if we go into the history, the eels and bays, the eels and bays were actually titles, all right, of law and lawgivers. We're not, we're not just talking about, the actual law as far as Zodiac, and the woman being the first lawgiver, and she's giving birth to the law. Not just that, but we're talking about on the physical plane as well. All right, as far as drafting legislation, passing legislation, and enforcing legislation. All right. Understand that's what comes with this eel and bay title, the lawgiver and the law enforcer, because that's what was going on. All right. That's what people really got to get. Like, this is not a game. This is not a joke. This is not some type of club to where as though, you throw up the secret sign and they're going to let you through the back door for free and all of this. No. We're not playing clubism. We're not playing any of that stuff here. It's time to run government.
Islam.
That's what it's time for. All right? So when you get into this, have that mindset of where is the government? Where's it at? Who's supposed to be overseeing different established departments and things of that nature? Where are they? That's what you want to see when you coming into the movement. That's what you want to see when you woke up and coming back into the right frame of mind. That constitutional fold of government. You want to see that civics. You want to see the government body actually operating. That's what you want to see, all right? And that's what you really want to look out for. But for your immediate family, all right? Well, actually, you want to get in contact, too, if, it's out there, get in contact with certain individuals, all right? But for your immediate family, you're going to have to learn, because once you say, hey, I'm of Moorish scion, or I am of Moorish descent, this is my ancestral state, I don't, or nor can I, pay for any of my natural resources. All right? Because this is another step up from that.
All right.
All right? And you got to understand that you are under occupation.
For real.
So this is not going to be easy. This is not something that you're going to be like, oh, damn, you know what? You're right. We're sorry about that. No. The only way that you're going to get what you're entitled to is when you prove that you are competent to handle it.
Say it again.
You got to prove that you're competent to handle it. Then they'll give you the keys. Because at the end of the day, they are going to be looking up at us for guidance, because we are the government here. The Moors, the indigenous people, are the only ones who can exercise and wield the political authority, because this is their estate.
Islam.
Like, that's another step up, all right? But you got to be competent enough to know that this is your estate, all right? And you are entitled to all of the vast natural resources that it has to offer, because it's for everyone.
Look a little way.
And you shouldn't have to pay, you shouldn't have to give any type of Federal Reserve notes or any other type of monies, all right? But Federal Reserve note isn't money, so don't get that all confused.
Yeah.
All right? Or any other type of compensation, or what they want to call compensation, to brush your teeth, to wash your face, to give my son a bath, or give your little babies a bath. You got to pay for that? There's 4 seasons out here. It gets cold. You telling me I got to pay to keep my house warm? Really? I got to pay for that?
And I'm under occupation?
I might as well just, leave my window open and let all the cold air come in. Like, this is nature. This is nature's law. So you telling me I have to divide myself from nature's law? this is deep when you come into this. This is not a game. This is not a joke.
This long.
This is people's life. This is my life.
Indeed.
All right? So when you come into this, you got to come into this with your eyes open already. Don't expect nothing, because they ain't going to give you nothing.
Mm-hmm. And late, this, not to cut your whiz, but later on, maybe I want you to get into some of your dealings, you know, with the Europeans and the policy enforcers to, you know, kind of help the people understand that, you know, how that understanding of history and law just kind of goes into effect for you. You know what I mean? In a real life situation, because what you just said and demonstrated was very simple for those of us who are already in the know, but for those just coming in, you know, what type of words of caution would you have to jumping in head first? You know, if they take your words and say, yeah, brother, now I say you right, you know, and they go out here and they want to parrot everything you just said.
No, everything has to be measured, man. You're going to have to do your own study and due diligence to get out whatever that you're into. All right? Because we all under the iron oppression thumb of these people. All right? But immediate for your family, you must be competent enough, all right? Because
Uh-oh. Hold on. Got a little technical difficulties. And of course, when we going in, you know, they want to try to hold it up. But all right, you back?
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even up to Joe, you know, those foreign corporations are against, you know, they have how do I want to put it? They have a sense of urgency to go against anything that you say.
Yeah.
Because you know the people are the government, all right? The people are the government. The people say what goes. Whether you say what goes or whether you don't say what goes, you still say what goes. All right? Because they'll force you to do things if you're not in the know. Sign this. And if not, we're going to come and take your kids from you.
That coercion.
Right.
Them threats.
Because you're going to have to do your due diligence, though, to save you and your family. But a political body, that is the actual solution. You know, you can do stuff in the meantime, in between time, you know, jump off you or, you know, whatever the situation is. But at the end result, it's going to be a body politic established to speak on behalf of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's needed. That's what's needed.
Now, was there anything else you wanted to touch on? It was coming up on 8:24, and I don't think we're going to have too many questions today. But
I yield the floor, but the people, it's just that the people's competence. Understand that the people is the government. It's you. You say what goes. If you don't want to sign something, you don't have to. You understand? And to reserve your rights on there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the people are the government. You're going to have to study. If you do not study, that veil of fear, because that's what all of our people. That was what all of our people.
Yeah.
That veil of fear has to be taken off. That studying, that time that you put in, that information that you get from your brain, you will regurgitate it. It will be in your heart, and it will be able to come out of you with no problem. You'll be able to expel it with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But that will get the fear. That will get that incompetence from you. The study.
That sincere study.
That's it, man. That's it. And do what you're supposed to do. Now, when that establishment presents itself, you're going to know it. Because why? You've been studying.
So you're going to recognize the government by your studies.
By works and deeds.
By works and deeds. It's wild. And then at that point, mentally, you should be prepared to take your place in that whole affair. Correct?
Hey man, you should be.
By that point, it's long.
You should be. You should be. You know, get into the trust law. Know what the trust is about, because that's where you want to put everything. You know. Mm-hmm. So these people won't try to take it when they start their liquidation processes, which is already really going on.
Seriously.
All right. That's why you see so many quote unquote Chinese and Asian stores in all your hoods everywhere.
Yeah. A lot of new construction and refinancing going on out here.
Right. Right. And if you don't claim what's yours or what's ours, if we don't claim what's ours,
yeah,
you ain't gonna have nothing. You'll be renting air soon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your baby's gonna be renting, you know, spots on the street just to lay their heads.
You said they gonna be renting air?
Renting air. You hear me?
I'm gonna put my air in my mama name.
Listen, if you want to claim any type of title that deludes to slavery, you will be treated as such.
Like food.
Listen, man, you will be treated as such.
Man.
I yield the floor, though. I know we run out, you know.
Yeah, we run up on the clock. It's 8:27. I'm gonna mute you out right quick and just, you know, finish with my last words. Islam. But that's Brother Nasir Bey now. This bring the fire today. Drop it on him. You know, how honest to that, more for helping me out today, man. We might have to do this again, more. But really though, you know, all jokes aside, people, family, we are not U.S. citizens. We are Moors. We are heirs of the vast estate. You know what I mean? We're nationals of the land. You know, so on and so forth. But you know, we don't have to. We're not supposed to be a beggar nation. You know what I mean? We don't have to delude ourselves to that. We're not Negroes anymore. Once we recognize that we're Moors, all right. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult because we were raised that way, you know, and that's how society, you know, has things set up. But we're in a new paradigm. We're in a renaissance of sorts. So in recognizing that, we should treat it as such, and you know, study our history and our culture so that we can, you know, take our place amongst the affairs of men, learn how to become better citizens, right? Because in doing that, in making that effort, you know, and in making that progress happen, you will be ready to do other things. You know what I mean? And when the character and the complexion of your mindset, right, has changed in such a way that you are able to see where you best fit in that, you know, that order of government, you know, until that point, you'll be acting as an individual. You know what I mean? Or you'll be acting as, like, you know, like Brother Nasir said, a little clique, you know, off to the side. And whereas those, you know, organizations and dispensations are needed, the time has come, you know, now for a more redefined measure, right, and manner of government to come about. And like the prophet said, it would take us 100 years to figure out what he brought us, and another 100 to figure out what to do with it. Well, you know, we a little bit late, but at any rate, you know what I mean. And it's 8:30 now, so I'll just say this in closing. At any rate, we're not U.S. citizens. We are the heirs. All right. George Washington, if you needed anyone else to prove it to you, said it in the letter that they, being the Europeans, as the colonists, were attached to His Imperial Majesty. All right. That government, though it had fallen, was reminded, you know, and brought back to the forefront of the people's minds with the prophet's work. And it was reestablished with all the authority and power that he was given, right? Knowing that he is, the prophet, right? So we never want to, and then again, with the expatriation that we touched on again today, we know that there was that kind of limbo status that was going on until the prophet came and did his work, did what he was destined to do. Okay? And again, if you look at as they say it, for Negroes, there were no rights anyway. You know what I mean? Based on the civil rights cases, the 1800 civil rights, the late 1800 civil rights cases, and then even when in the 1950s and 60s when they came down with it, it still wasn't cleared up the way that it needed to be, because we had way more rights, all right, way more duties, you know what I mean, that were owed to us. They were owed to us as Moors. So to create this artificial, thing, and then to double down on it was unnecessary when the prophet came in 1913 and said that all we had to do is proclaim our birthright and our nationality, and then we would be, and study, and then as we do that, we'll be able to take out, we'll be able to become better citizens and take our place amongst the affairs of men. All right, Islam. So we never, like I said, we never want to forget that. We never want to forget these facts as we go forward, because, when we look back over the past classes and we look forward, going forward and everything, these lessons are going to be, very important keys. So make sure you, share it out with your family and all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe, at the bottom, if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Ustream, click wherever you got to click for that. But, yeah, man, 8:33, I'm going to sign off on that. Peace to the guys, peace to the angels, Hotep, Ashe, Islam, family. Peace and love. One. Please, Brother Nasir, I yield the floor.
All right. Islam, family. I hope everyone's having a prosperous day, week. Happy Holy Day.
Islam, happy Holy Day as well. Islam.
Of course, give all honor to the Prophet Noble Ali. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be. I don't know where y'all would be, but I wouldn't be nowhere good.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Today's class is, I believe it was titled, made reference to why Moors are not U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm. And as well as steps to take after nationalizing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
So that's what we're gonna cover in a grand scheme of things. But yeah.
Right. Exactly. First thing I wanted to get into was the actual definition of American.
Okay.
All right. And to show that the difference between the U.S. in America, because you understand that the United States of America is a political jurisdiction. It has nothing to do with the land.
Mm-hmm. And most folks try to bleed that together, don't they?
Right, exactly. using synonymously like it's the same thing, and it's not.
Yeah, with that connotative, those connotative linguistics and stuff.
Exactly. In the law, it means something totally different. Have you hanging out to dry, as you can see.
Clearly. So go and break it down for him, brother. Okay.
Right here we have the Webster's 1828 definition of American. All right. I have it nice. You can download it right on the Play Store.
Okay. If you got like Google. Okay. So you holding it up.
Go into the Play Store. You download the
okay, I see it.
The actual.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull it widescreen on my end. For all y'all in the class, y'all should be able to pull it widescreen and see it. And just for the people who can't read this, Brother Nasir, go on and read it for them.
There you go. It says American. It says adjective pertaining to America. American, noun, a native of America. Originally.
Stop the death on the corners. Mistake the stays for his side, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that more lives matter. It seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistake the stays for his side, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that won awards for writing facts. For worldwide web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here comes C1-7. And CIA and FBI agent, brethren, felons with what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No fence of nooses, I'm fighting for survival. Making Moors martyrs won't happen, calling us captain rival. Inquisitionists, governors, and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak. With no care, blood dripping, they eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastness of state Mugudi Malaksa. Stateless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, to start selling black orphans. And half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing. Killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them up, educate oneself and flip them. All of the titles on nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grip them in this third-dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention. Mental intrusion, universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoopies to the spaceships. Ever since all creations, celestial foundations, ocean floor to the beaches, to the mountaintop, to the cosmic infinite.
I said, what now? Hold on. Let me just pause this. Say it one more time.
I said depends too much.
Nah. You good.
Cause and effect.
You good, more.
More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter cause I sing it no sound off. It gets defective when rejected, put your mask off. Get my perspective on direct it to replay. All the moves that on replay till they wanna cast off. Bury them on to the next one. Enough of them are gunning down. Dudes them a cash cross. Can't believe I copy that. Can't believe I Taj Boss. Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cars. The afterlife visited the class brawl. Who they really wanna see with the crown on high and the garbs on free? I am free and in no business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. For the fight
Islam. Alright, it's 6:44, so we just gonna go on and get started. Since we got, got somebody in the house typing. Islam. Who we got? Islam. All right, brother Islam. Good deal. Glad you can make it with us. Make sure you send out the link, to your family and friends and all of those people as we go forward, because it's going to be a good class today, I believe. And we were trying to hold on just to make sure we got got some people in here. But as always, we do have our Ustream and YouTube family out here. So today I'm just gonna mute you out right quick for a second, Brother Nasir, just to introduce everything. So we've got with us today Brother Nasir Bey with us, and he is a fellow brother out of Shakamaxon territory, commonly known as Philadelphia or Philadelphus, Pennsylvania territory, if I'm not mistaken, brother. Islam. So he's gonna help me out today with class, and he's gonna first start out by opening up and saying his words. But I just wanted to give that brief introduction and kind of let the brother let you know a little bit about himself and his path and journey up until this point, and and then just kind of go from there, if you would. It's a simple experiment. Think about it that way, and that way you won't hurt anybody's feelings. But we gotta think, family. Like, we seriously have to think, because without that, we're gonna be behind. All right, so we got it caught back up. But I was just letting the family know, clearly, if I hold up, the penny, even though I'm supposed to be light skinned, I'm still falling in the mix, right? But let Pookie and them tell it. Oh, if we white, why we can't be black? If they white, why we can't be black? And it's like, it's not about what you see, with your two eyes necessarily. It's about the legal status that's on that black and white piece of paper, that for time immemorial has been recognized as fact. You know what I mean? But I yield the floor back to you, brother. Oh, we got Brother Wasim in the building. Uh-oh. Islam. Thank you, family. Islam, welcome.
Islam.
Welcome.
I'm at the JOB, man.
Yeah, man. I see you.
Yeah. That's why I can't never get to y'all, man. It look like I don't even care, but I care a lot, man.
Hey. Hey,
Peace, Mo.
Peace.
How you doing?
Nasir.
Islam.
Islam, Mo. How you doing?
Islam.
What's today's topic, man?
Well, we're just catching up from last week with why Moors are not U.S. citizens, right? And then the steps to take after nationalization, right? And right now I was just breaking down, and one more time, family. Even though I'm light skinned, right? Brother Nasir had read the definition of American. And I was showing, like, even with an old or a new penny, I'm still fitting in the mix.
Right.
You know what I mean? And these pennies are not, they're fairly not that old, but the older you get, the more you can tell and find it. If it's not green and rusted out, so to speak. But yeah, read it one more time for us, Brother Nasir, just to catch Brother Wasim up, just in case he's never heard it.
No, you already know. I know what's up. That's why we got Abraham Lincoln, right, on the copper penny. Plus, he looking the other way, right? So that should let you know who he is, right?
All right.
Applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. The name American must always exalt the pride of patriotism.
That's deep. Say that last part again.
The last part, it said, the name American must always exalt the pride of patriotism.
Not from just based on your portion of understanding, what is that telling you?
What's that telling me is that the quote unquote copper colored races of people, they might use the term race connotatively, of course,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but the overall message, you know, the definition that we want to get out of here is that the indigenous people found here,
Mm-hmm.
right, when the Europeans came, were Moors. What they say, copper-colored races.
Yeah. And I was looking for a penny to hold
Yeah,
up.
I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it. There you go.
And this is
There you go.
now this one is a 1981, but it's still, you know, it's fairly, you know, used and whatnot in comparison to, say, this 2016 penny, right? And if you take an older or like a used penny, you can you know, use the test basically to find out whether or not you're copper colored, right? So, you know, I'm a little bit, as they say, more fair or whatever, light skinned it, but, you know, let me try to get it for the camera, right? And you can see which is which, and clearly, you know, I'm coming in there. Right? I think we got some technical difficulties on this end. Let me reset. But yeah, man, it's not really hard once you take it to the, you know, to the definition, textbook definition, and you understand who it is, you know, figure out, you know, do a demonstration and figure out who they're talking about. Take a, you know, penny and see if you fit. You know what I mean? It's not that hard.